Welcome back, everyone, to the Pathway to Leadership podcast. Today we are diving into some seriously inspiring advice
Oh, yeah.
from John Gagnon
Hmm?
over at the Pathway to Leadership YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about
Pathway to leadership.
actionable steps you can use
Absolutely.
to kickstart your own leadership journey.
I love that.
So,
You know what's great about John's approach?
yeah, what's so great?
It's not about some rigid formula.
Yeah.
He breaks down leadership into these relatable, everyday things we can all start doing right now.
Okay, so let's unpack this,
Yeah.
right?
Let's get into it.
John Gagnon starts by emphasizing the importance of starting your day on the right foot. And he's not talking about coffee.
Right.
He uses this awesome analogy to breakfast,
I love this one.
saying, just like your body needs a healthy breakfast for energy, your mind needs a healthy breakfast of positive input to set the tone for the day.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's almost like priming your brain for success. And it makes me think about research on the halo effect. You know, how a positive first impression can influence how people perceive you throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with positivity can actually create a ripple effect, impacting your actions and interactions all day long.
Totally. It's like setting the stage for a good day from the moment you wake up.
Absolutely.
And speaking of interactions, Gagnon calls his next tip the good morning effect.
Okay.
Now, it sounds pretty basic, right?
Yeah.
Just saying good morning to people,
Yeah.
but he takes it a step further.
Right. He's a big believer in using people's names. It's about making that genuine personal connection. You know, I've actually noticed that leaders who are really good at connecting with people, they almost always remember names.
It's like you feel seen and heard,
Yeah.
right? Like someone actually cares. Have you found that to be true in your experience?
Absolutely. And I think that's what's so fascinating about this seemingly simple good morning effect. It goes beyond just being polite. It's about acknowledging others, demonstrating genuine interest. And those small acts can be the foundation for building strong, authentic relationships.
Which, let's be honest, are kind of crucial for leadership, right?
Yeah.
You can't really lead without people to lead. But John also talks about how leadership isn't just about inspiring others. It's also about taking care of yourself. And this is where he brings in some wisdom from, wait for it, his mom.
Oh, I love that he brings his mom into this.
Me too.
He talks about how she always emphasized keeping your shoes clean and polished. And her point was, if you can't take care of something as simple as your shoes, how can you be trusted to take care of other things, bigger things?
It's such a quirky analogy, right? But it totally makes sense. If we're neglecting our own well-being mentally, physically, emotionally,
Yeah.
how can we expect to show up as our best selves for others?
Exactly. It's like that oxygen mask on an airplane analogy. You have to put your own mask on first before you can help anyone else. And I think that's something a lot of aspiring leaders overlook. They're so focused on helping others that they forget to prioritize their own self-care.
It's so true, and that actually ties directly into Gagnon's next step on his pathway to leadership, continuous learning and growth. Now, we hear this all the time, right? But John really breaks it down in a way that feels achievable.
He emphasizes that leadership isn't a destination. It's a journey of constant evolution. So it's not about reaching some end goal and then stopping. It's about embracing a mindset of continuous learning. What are you reading? What are you listening to? How are you expanding your knowledge base?
And he doesn't just talk about solo learning, right? He's a big believer in teaching as well.
Right. He actually refers to it as a two-way street. The more you learn, the more you can teach, and the more you teach, the more you learn. It creates this beautiful cycle of knowledge sharing and growth.
I love that, and I think it's so important to remember that teaching doesn't have to be formal. It can be as simple as sharing an article you found insightful with a colleague, or mentoring someone who's just starting out in their career. If you're finding this deep dive as insightful as I am, you'll definitely want to check out John Gagnon's full video. We'll put a link in the show notes, but you can also find him on YouTube by searching Pathway to Leadership. It's well worth a watch.
It really is. And, you know, speaking of sharing knowledge and supporting others, John Gagnon's final point is all about surrounding yourself with the right people.
Okay.
He actually quotes that line, "Show me your 5 friends and I'll show you your future powerful stuff."
That quote always makes me stop and think. It really highlights how the people we spend our time with can have such a profound impact on our lives, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's true. And John Gagnon really digs into this, explaining how the people we surround ourselves with have an enormous impact on our mindset, our goals, and ultimately our success.
He actually suggests this really interesting exercise to help figure out who those people are. You take a look at your goals, then compare them to the people you've interacted with over the past week.
It's so simple, yet so insightful, right?
Yeah.
Do those individuals align with your aspirations? Do they encourage you, or do their actions and words tend to hold you back?
It's almost like taking a leadership inventory, wouldn't you say? You're assessing where you're at and where you want to go, and then looking at whether the people around you are supporting that journey.
Exactly. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck. They might have these big dreams and aspirations, but they're surrounded by people who are content with the status quo.
And that can be really draining, can't it? It's like you're constantly swimming upstream.
Yeah.
It's not that you have to ditch your friends who aren't on the exact same path, but it's about being mindful of the energy you surround yourself with.
I completely agree. One thing that really struck me about Gagnon's approach is that he emphasizes the importance of having people in your life who not only celebrate your successes, but also offer support when you face setbacks. Because let's face it, leadership isn't about always having the answers. It's about having a strong network to lean on during challenging times.
That's such a great point. Having those people who will lift you up when you're feeling discouraged can make all the difference. And it ties back to what we were talking about earlier about self-care. Surrounding yourself with the right people is a form of self-care, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's about creating an environment where you can thrive both personally and professionally now. If we take a step back and look at John Gagnon's 5 key steps for unlocking your inner leader, we see this beautiful progression.
Okay.
Start your day with positivity, use the good morning effect to build those genuine connections, invest in self-care, commit to continuous learning and teaching, and surround yourself with supportive, like-minded people. Each step builds upon the last, creating a powerful framework for growth. It's like he's giving us a roadmap, isn't he? And it's not about being perfect at every step. It's about making those small, consistent efforts that can lead to big changes over time.
Exactly. And while these insights we've discussed offer a fantastic starting point, there's so much more to explore in Gagnon's full video.
Absolutely. If you are looking for a community of like-minded people that will inspire you along the way, visit John Gagnon of Pathway to Leadership on YouTube. We'll make sure to link to his YouTube channel in the show notes so you can dive even deeper into his wisdom. What stands out to you as the most valuable takeaway from John's approach to leadership?
For me, it's that emphasis on continuous learning and growth that we talked about earlier. It's a reminder that leadership isn't about reaching a certain level or position, but about embracing a mindset of constant evolution and development. It's about always striving to be a little bit better today than you were yesterday. What about you? What resonated most with you?
For me, it's that good morning effect that really stuck with me.
It seems so simple, but it's such a powerful reminder that even small gestures of kindness and acknowledgement can make a big difference in building strong, genuine relationships.
Uh-huh.
And when you think about it, those relationships are at the heart of effective leadership.
I love that it's those seemingly insignificant actions that often have the most profound impact. And speaking of impact, remember that 5 friends exercise Gagnon suggested.
Oh, absolutely. The one where you compare your goals with the people you interact with regularly. I'm still thinking about that one.
Me too. It's such a great tool for taking stock of your social circle and seeing if it aligns with your aspirations. It's not about ditching your friends who aren't on the exact same path, but about recognizing those relationships that uplift and inspire you versus those that might be draining your energy or holding you back.
It's like being intentional about who you allow into your inner circle, right?
Right.
And creating a space where you can be supported and encouraged as you pursue your goals.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that you have the power to choose who you surround yourself with and creating an environment where you can truly thrive.
So for anyone listening who's feeling inspired to level up their leadership game, I highly recommend checking out John Gagnon's full video on the Pathway to Leadership YouTube channel. It's packed with even more practical tips and real-world advice that you can start implementing today. You won't regret it.
I second that John's passion for leadership is contagious, and his down-to-earth approach makes these concepts accessible to everyone.
Totally. And that's what we're all about here on the Pathway to Leadership podcast, empowering you to embrace your potential and make a positive impact, whether you're leading a team, a project, or just your own life.
So as you continue on your leadership journey, remember that it's a marathon, not a sprint. Be patient with yourself, surround yourself with supportive people, and never stop learning and growing.
And hey, while you're at it, give your shoes a nice polish. You never know who you might inspire. Thank you for listening to the Pathway to Leadership podcast. We'll catch you in the next episode.